Hey, Sari. There we are again.
Yay, we get to give a supervision program together, and we're going to start in June of 2025. And during that program, people will have two workshops in an accreditation workshop and lots of group supervision on their practice.
Yeah.
So if you want more information on that, go to www.intactacademy.com. But in the meantime, we've decided to give some little peeks into our supervision world. We're both very experienced supervisors, and you're LVSA.
Yes, I'm an LVSA accredited supervisor. I'm almost a master supervisor also for the LVSA. That will be accredited in May.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done not only the TA like you have, but also the EMCC supervision accreditation.
Yeah.
And based on TA, LVSA, EMCC, and previously ICF, we're going to give this program.
Yeah.
And we're really talking about the heart of supervision. We talked about the definitions, we've talked about contracting, and I think part of the heart is to really look at what are the different functions of supervision.
Yeah.
And you and I were just talking about how that's developed over time, that different authors have added functions, key functions of supervision.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It keeps on being three or four, isn't it?
Yeah,
But you have like if you look at supervision and the functions, you come across people like Bridget Proctor, but also Harkins. Um,
Michael Carroll, Trudy Newton. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but basically, I think both of us have read Bridget Proctor's work on supervision,
yeah,
both her individual supervision and group supervision work.
yeah.
I was taught by her actually in Metanoia.
Oh,
Fantastic,
really?
fantastic to get training by her. But she started this idea that within supervision, really there are, well, she started saying with there are three functions. So she talked about formative or educational, learning and development, where people share insights and get develop their skills and their understanding of their practice.
Yeah.
And then she talked about normative, which is not the favorite of most supervisors, I think, but
Hmm.
very important. Where the
Especially when you become a supervisor, it's so good to talk about what is actually how do you supervise and how do you do that in an ethical and professional way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in some ways we're the gatekeepers of a profession
Yeah.
as
Yeah, I
well.
was just thinking about that word, that we are indeed gatekeepers for people to enter the working space and the working areas.
Yeah, and in that sense, in that normative, we really support it's a supportive function, but people often see it as a punishing function, and that's never, I think, the objective of supervision in any case.
I love what we come to that later on, but I really, really like what Trudy Newton says because she connects the normative with the accounting.
Yeah,
And I really like from that idea that the accounting mode that we are in is actually our adult ego state.
yeah,
So its normative is not aligned with the structuring or nurturing parent, but that's really the accounting and the adult in the here and now.
yeah,
Does it work and how does it work and do you work ethically?
yeah.
Does it fit within the purpose of this profession and the values that you hold? I think that's very interesting to talk about.
Yeah, and Bridget Proctor, again, she named a third function, which was restorative, which was really about support and well-being. And I really see supervision as this holding. I always have this feeling I have to make this gesture with it because it's a safe space where you can be supported and reassured, I think, as well, but
Hmm.
also um, have a space for yourself.
Yeah.
talk about the complexities of this beautiful work we do.
Do you also sometimes ask supervisees, what is it what you were looking for? Are you more looking for a formative way of looking at this? Are you more looking for an adult normative way, or are you actually looking for some support and some restoration of what happened to you? And it's a beautiful question to ask to supervisees because from these three different functions, they can really choose what fits them at that moment.
Hmm. No, I never asked that,
Oh,
but
you can,
that's
really.
nice.
Because it's interesting, it's inviting adults in the supervisory relationship by
Hmm.
asking, what actually do you need at this time?
Hmm.
And it makes supervisees more aware of where they can go in that
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. I think often I don't ask because the questions are mixed often.
Mm,
It's less that it's different functions, but more layered functions
mm,
in my world, my super.
yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I I can imagine. Yeah.
And it also depends on the level of the supervisee. Uh,
Hmm.
I've,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we say stage. That is maybe the stage of the supervision or the stage of the professional. Is it a starting professional? Then there's a difference in how aware and I don't know how connected somebody, for example, is with the profession that he or she is doing. While if it's a very experienced person, the questions are indeed very different and the functions become very, very different. Yeah.
so, so Bridget Proctor was my first trainer, and later I trained with Peter Hawkins in a very different setting, not about supervision, but he added a function which is, I thought, also much more in the valid for me as supervisor in the organizational setting because he talked about consultative supervision as well.
Mm,
Um, so it's not in his classic book, but he talks about the need for consultation, where basically someone brings a case and has a consultation about it, which is a much more. I'm doing this because it's a much more adult relationship where you talk as peers, really about what do you do, how did you do it.
mm. How's that different from the normative? Like from the,
Yeah, it's much more, I guess, a mentoring function as a supervisor.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Uh,
That's interesting. So it's in the ego state model, it's coming from adult, but also having a little bit of the parent in it, like in the,
yeah, not less normative parent or structuring parent. I think a bit more nurturing parent as well.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Hmm. I know that Trudy Newton says, or were you finished with the ad of Hawkins? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Trudy Newton is talking about the normative being accounting, as I said, the restorative as the nurturative. So there's a nurturing part that comes with the restorative function that you really support the supervisee in whatever situation they are in. And that the formative is actually transformative. So you can be in a process of change and of growth as professional or as a person, as we were talking earlier, in that or in relationship with your client.
Hmm.
I kind of like that she has it in her idea. She has it in a table, and I like working with this table because it gives different language. It gives different language to what is actually the function of supervision.
Yeah, for me, there would be a discussion, I think, about because I think transformative and formative are very different functions. Like for me, formative is more educational, where transformative is more at the psychodynamic level.
Yeah.
And it leads into a discussion that we can have about, is education always transformative,
Mm,
or can it just be about exchanging information, learning skills or competencies.
Mm.
Um, but you and I have given supervision together. We've been in each other's presence, and
Yeah,
if you come out of transformative supervision, you go yay because you really feel that impact on someone's life and far beyond the professional context.
yeah,
But sometimes, a question is just, I don't have this information, or I've never thought about this, or
yeah, true,
yeah.
true. Yeah. I guess for me, the relationship, it comes back to the relationship that you have with your client and the question. So the contract actually of that moment, what is it that the client is looking for? And how can you enhance the adult in a person so that they are able to navigate themselves in different situations?
Hmm.
Um,
So it's a
so
fluid, the functions, it's good to
yeah,
to give
yeah,
permission to a supervisor.
yeah, yeah,
Actually, you can be all of this,
yeah,
but the way you use it is fluid and depends on the context, but also on the development level of your supervisor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and what we haven't talked about, what I have been pondering on some more, is how you also, as a supervisor, interrupt in the world of the supervisee, because I don't always take for granted what people are sharing with me. And I often think, that's interesting. How can I interrupt what you are actually doing or saying or thinking about yourself? And how can I connect that with what we've talked about, your life story or the script that you have formed? And if that's still the story that you want to tell about yourself, or
That's more the transformative, and we'll talk about it
exactly.
in the next one.
Good.
But for now, everyone, this is a little taste of how we hope to work with you as well
Yeah.
in the supervision program. And it starts in June, so feel free
Yeah.
to register.
Yes. You're welcome.